The following is a presentation of Showtime Sports.
He's a legend, a future Hall of Famer. In a career spanning over 2 decades, he faced every luminary his division had to offer. Now, ensconced in the light heavyweight division, he meets another. A fast and versatile fighter with an agenda of his own.
If I beat a legend, that's going to be a good way to become a legend.
It's the young, confident WBC champion, Jean Pascal, versus the legend, Bernhard Hopkins.
He makes one mistake, it's over.
Happy holidays from one of the most historic and picturesque cities in North America. We're north of the border in Quebec City for the last big fight of 2010. It's also one of the most intriguing fights of the year. When Bernhard Hopkins says he fights to make, break, and shatter records, he means it. If he captures the WBC light heavyweight title tonight, Hopkins will become the oldest fighter in history to win a major world championship. The future first ballot Hall of Famer turns 46 next month. Jean Pascal can't match the resume of Hopkins, but he flaunts some impressive credentials of his own. This will be Pascal's 4th defense of his title, and the pressure will be on to perform against the career wrecker in front of this big hometown crowd. It took all of 48 hours for the Pepsi Colisée to sell out. Better than 16,000 screaming fans expected. And yes, without question, it will be a highly partisan Pascal crowd. Hometown hero Jean Pascal, the #1 light heavyweight in the world, is set to defend his WBC title against boxing legend Bernhard Hopkins. It's fight night in Canada. Hello again, everybody. I'm Steve Albert here in Quebec City. Tonight's WBC light heavyweight title fight is a showdown that 45-year-old Bernhard Hopkins plans to make a fight for the ages, not a fight for the aged. An amazing specimen. Hopkins continues to defy the advancing years by schooling championship-level fighters who are almost young enough to be his sons. Hopkins says he's been known to ruin careers, and tonight his target is defending champion Jean Pascal, who is both poised and peaking. He's coming off his most notable win yet against the favored and undefeated Chad Dawson. On that note, let me bring on my ringside partners, the esteemed Al Bernstein and former world champion Antonio Tarver. And what a fascinating matchup we've got here tonight, Al.
You know, that word not only describes this fight, but it also describes these two fighters. Of course, Bernhard Hopkins has been in our consciousness for a long, long time, but Jean Pascal, a relatively new entrant into boxing center stage. Now, Pascal, who grew up here in Quebec, dreamed of being in the National Hockey League as a player. Instead, he became a boxer and then became a world champion after defending or representing his country in the Olympics. And now he is bringing to this country, Antonio, the biggest event involving a Canadian boxer in the history of this land. And to do it, he had to call out a legend in Bernhard Hopkins, somebody you know a little something about because you were in the ring against him.
Yes, Al, 12 hard rounds. One thing about Hopkins, he's a very cagey fighter. But he's never faced an audience, an environment like he's going to face tonight. He's going to have to rely on all his experience and all of the little things that makes him Bernhard Hopkins. You know, it's very hard to beat Bernhard Hopkins, but one thing that may be most important or as important is to look good against Bernhard Hopkins tonight. Pascal is going to have to show this crowd that he's ready for that torch to be passed tonight.
All right, and this is a fight that I think has created more buzz and more attention than almost any fight I've been involved with here on Showtime.
And Al, amazing energy, as you can hear, in this building tonight. With that, let's take a look at the text message poll as we reach the end of a very exciting year on Showtime Sports. And what was the most compelling event Showtime Championship Boxing covered in 2010? The Super 6 completed group stages and moves to the semifinals with Andre Ward the top seed. Text 1 for the Super 6 World Boxing Classic. Rafael Marquez and Israel Vasquez faced off for the 4th time on their historic rivalry, culminating with an impressive KO victory by Marquez. Text 2 for the conclusion of the Vasquez-Marquez rivalry. 4 of the world's top bantamweights got together for a winner-takes-all tournament last week, which featured 2 action-packed semifinals. Text 3 for the bantamweight tournament. Text your response to us at SHOWZ. That's 74699. Standard text messaging rates apply. So there you have it, 3 great events to choose from. As we return to the business at hand, our Jim Gray had an opportunity to chat with tonight's 2 combatants.
Steve, thank you very much. Bernhard, that's a nice look. You got your teeth in?
No. It's ready to fight. You got to keep him out early.
Where does Pascal rank in all of the great fighters that you have fought?
Well, it's been a lot of them. Robert Allen stands out. Robert Allen was known as Armed and Dangerous. He was dangerous for the first couple of rounds because he came out trying to let his bombs go, and most people stood in their way. Didn't last long. I knew that was his style, and I look at Pascal as being sort of like a Robert Allen type guy who's going to come winging punches from all over and try to overwhelm you with his power and his aggressiveness.
He beats Chad Dawson. He says, I want Bernhard Hopkins. You're sitting on the couch. You don't expect this fight. Now it's here.
My teeth in the glass, and I said, let's go. We in business, back in business.
And what do you do with this opportunity, and what would it mean to you now to become the first person in history to win a major title at your age?
To surpass one of my heroes, one of my legends that I watched growing up, and George Foreman, beating him out by 9 days is so surreal, and it's a big thing for me. These opportunities don't come to any athlete of any sport often or any time. So to be able to be the one, the chosen one tonight to make that happen is is gratifying, is a blessing.
Bernhard, there was a press conference on Wednesday. The belt was standing out there. You took the belt and put it behind your back. You seem to have gotten under Pascal's skin. What was your intent with that?
Well, I realized I'm paying a lot of money for the belt, so I might as well get a touch and feel it, you know. I contribute to the sanctioning fees that we pay, and I just seen the belt and it was enticing, and like a kid in a candy store, I had to go taste it, feel it, rub it.
Respect or animosity here?
Well, I think when you're getting ready to fight, there's always animosity, and I think whoever earns the respect each other at the end of the fight. Fighters normally do that anyway, but I can't respect you until the battle is over. And I think that any fighter that's listening to this will agree to that. I can't respect you to the point where I let my guard down, because we're at war. We got to fight. That's what fighting is about. Fighting is about, I got to hurt you, you got to try to hurt me. That's the business we in. We signed up for it. If they don't like this type of rules, go to golf.
All right, Bernhard, look forward to talking to you after. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Jean, why exactly did you want to fight Bernhard Hopkins?
Because I love challenges, and Bernhard is a big name, he's a legend, he made history, and on my side, I want to make history too, so that's why I chose Bernhard Hopkins.
Has he gotten underneath your skin with what went on at the press conference and the weigh-in? Are you bothered by his antics?
Not at all. I'm really strong mentally, and I knew that he would have do something like that. So it didn't affect me at all, and I'm ready to fight.
You have a big crowd here, obviously a lot of people all to see you here in Quebec. Has it been a distraction in any way?
Not at all. It's a motivation for me. My people are behind me, and I just can't wait to make the show happen.
What will you need to do, particularly early in the fight, to make sure that you're effective throughout the entire course of the fight?
Simple as that. Is to be me, to be Jean Pascal.
Best of luck to you. We'll talk to you afterwards.
Thank you very much, Gav.
Will Pascal be able to unmask the mystique and the achievements of Bernhard Hopkins? We'll find out later. Well, with so much on the line, things have become pretty heated here in Quebec. But Bernhard Hopkins was more jovial when he reflected on the moment. Pascal called him out.
I want you to touch gloves now. We're boxing at the bell. Good luck to both of you.
It was late at night. I had my teeth over here in the drawer, in my rocking chair, watching the fight because I'm a fan. I'm minding my business. Next thing I know,
I want the best in the world. Hopkins, anybody. I want to prove I'm one of the best.
you want to fight me? We back in business, baby.
It's like a dreams come true to fight a living legend, but I think Hopkins is the past. He thinks his mind is still the present, but the present is right here.
If he's based and predicating on him winning or losing because I'm 45, the element of surprise is a hell of a thing, because now you're going to say in yourself, y'all got me here with this animal.
I'm not gonna get fooled by that. He's old, he's 45, this is his last fight, but I won't be trapped. I learn from mistakes from others, and I won't do the same because I'm a smart guy.
Being a veteran, I can neutralize anything he does.
What I have to do in the ring to be Bernhard Hopkins is to be me, to be Jean Pascal. It's time for a new era.
Pascal will be surprised that he's not fighting an old man. And then we got a long, long night.
As we close in on the WBC Light Heavyweight Championship here in Quebec City, Canada, local favorite Jean Pascal, a superstar north of the border, defends his crowd against the age-defying boxing icon, Bernhard Hopkins. And there he is, the executioner. Hearing it from the crowd, Bernhard Hopkins, who will be navigating his way through the bowels of this venerable hockey arena, which has stood the test of time for about 50 years. And Al, how fitting, as you can almost say the same thing about Bernhard Hopkins.
His career's been just a few years shorter. To put it all in perspective, when he started as a pro, Ronald Reagan was president.
Well, he was 41 when he beat you, Antonio, 43 when he beat Kelly Pavlik. Tonight, less than a month away from 46. Again, looking to turn the sport upside down.
Yes, he is. You know, there's no doubting his legacy. I feel we all know he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And, you know, he was one of the most consistent fighters of this era. He held that middleweight title for forever. He came up, he beat me, took my light heavyweight title. But tonight, how good is Hopkins? Can he get it done against Jean Pascal?
Will he become the oldest world champion in history by 38 days over George Foreman? Big George, just a hair younger, when he knocked out Michael Moorer for the heavyweight title back in 1994. Whatever happens tonight, Bernhard Hopkins will go down as one of boxing's all-time greats, and he'll be compared to other fighters who achieved glory near his current age, like Archie Moore and the aforementioned George Foreman. Scary thing is the crowd hasn't seen him live yet. They're watching him on the big screen, but when they see him live, the decibel level of booing will go up a lot higher.
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, the time has come for the main event of the evening. And now entering to the blue corner, faisant son entrée dans la coin bleu, here is the challenger, l'aspirant, Bernhard, the Executioner Hopkins.
Yes, Bernhard Hopkins has always done it his way. A ring walk for the ages. Under hostile circumstances, Bernhard accompanied by his good friend Artie Rabin. Artie, a very brave man. Antonio, no doubting Hopkins' legacy, but should we judge him by his last performance?
You know, that's a good question, Steve. If the saying is true that you're only as good as your last fight, we don't know what Hopkins is going to show up tonight. He struggled against his arch rival, Roy Jones Jr., and I know how bad he wanted that fight. He wanted to redeem himself from an earlier loss. If he couldn't do it in great fashion, who's to say he can do it tonight?
Bernhard playing to the crowd. The question is, yeah, he did it his way, but is this the end of the road for one of this generation's greatest boxers? Al, your keys to victory for the man who did it his way.
For Bernhard Hopkins, the jab is underrated because it's underused, but he knows he needs that punch tonight to win. Against Kelly Pavlik, Hopkins threw combinations and more punches, period. That's essential to win tonight. His overhand right is hard to avoid, and Pascal can be hit with it. That's a big weapon for him tonight.
Entering into the red corner, dans le coin rouge, the champion, le champion, Jean Pascal.
And in all due respect to Chevalo Ali, many here feel this is the biggest fight in Canada's history for Canadians. He's got the crowd behind him. He's nearly 18 years younger than Hopkins. He's a natural light heavyweight. A a 2-to-1 favorite. But Antonio, could Pascal be feeling the pressure to perform well? He's had big fights, but nothing like this.
Yeah, and that's a key word, pressure. You know, we know the age difference, but what he wants to do tonight is keep the crowd involved. This fight is very interesting early because if he don't do something spectacular, they might turn on him. I've seen it happen. You know, they may get anxious. They may want to see greatness happen right before their eyes.
The fans are here for a coronation. Bernhard Hopkins has other ideas. This is such a huge event here. Not too many guys can pack a house. They're having some kind of a delay in getting Pascal into the ring. I guess he doesn't have his credential.
The security is very tight here, so you can understand that. I guess they don't recognize him. That's Russ Anver, his cut man there. Mark Ramsey will be with him, his trainer, and now they're getting in.
They mentioned Al Bernstein's name. This is particularly big because it involves a local hero versus a legend. And the crowd, as you can hear, becomes a third character in the story. Let's get the keys to victory for Jean Pascal.
Well, when you're fighting a man that is nearing his 46th birthday, early body work is a pretty good idea, and we should see that from Pascal. Some would argue this fight is all about the work rate, and Pascal might steal a win by being busy against Hopkins, who normally is not. Pascal has a sneaky, fast right hand, and if he's going to hurt Hopkins, it will be with that punch.
Let's check the numbers as we go to the tail of the tape.
The number that jumps out at us the most salient is the one we've been talking about, the difference in age and how will that equate to speed, quickness, and stamina. The rest, the height, the reach, differences are negligible.
And the notable WBC rules for tonight's world title fight.
No standing 8, 3 knockdown rule is in effect. Only the referee can stop the fight. If a fighter can't be saved by the bell in any round, and if a fighter can't continue due to an injury from an accidental foul before the start of the 5th, it would be a technical draw. After the start of the 5th, they would go to the scorecards.
So we are set for Jean Pascal versus Bernhard Hopkins. Let's get the official introductions from our ring announcer, the classy Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. Mesdames et messieurs, bonsoir et bienvenue au Colisée Pepsi de la merveilleuse ville de Québec. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the beautiful city of Quebec for a World Championship featured attraction of the evening, brought to you by Groupe Yvonne Michel, Golden Boy Promotions, and Showtime. This bout is presented in association with Casino Montreal, City of Quebec Tourism, Coors Light, and Videotron. This bout is sanctioned by the WBC, the President Jose Suleiman, Supervisors Bob Yalen, the IBO, President Ed Levine, Supervisor Hilton Whitaker III, and the Quebec Combat Sports Commission Commissioner Michel Hamelin. Our physicians at ringside, Dr. Pierre Monnier and Dr. Marc Gagné. Timekeeper at the bell, André Huard. Les juges pour ce combat. The judges scoring this bout from ringside. From the United States, Steve Morrow. From Canada, Claude Paquette. From Belgium, Daniel Vanderweel. And our referee in charge of the bout from Canada, Michael Griffin. Mesdames et messieurs, c'est l'attraction principale de la soirée. All right, fans, here we go with the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC and the IBO Light Heavyweight Championship of the world. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, en direct de la ville de Québec, live from Quebec, it's showtime! First, the challenger fighting out of the blue corner on my left. L'Aspera dans le coin blue. Wearing black trunks with silver trim, hailing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the United States. He weighed in at 174 1/2 pounds. This future Hall of Famer has a record of 51 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, and 1 no contest, with 32 wins coming by way of knockout. Considered one of boxing's all-time greats, he is a veteran of 26 world title bouts. Here is the former undisputed middleweight champion of the world, introducing Bernhard, the Executioner Hopkins. And his opponent across the ring, the defending champion, fighting out of the red corner, Don McCoy Rouge. Wearing orange trunks with black trim, he is boxing's pride of Laval, Quebec, Canada. He weighed in at 174 3/4 pounds with a record of 26 wins, 1 loss. He has 16 wins coming by way of knockout. Tonight, he is making the 4th defense of his title. Here is the popular and defending WBC and IBO light heavyweight champion of the world. Veuillez accueillir le champion, Jean Pascal. Once again, a referee in charge, Michael Griffin, now to give instructions.
Okay, Russ, let's go. Russ. Mike, let's go.
Michael Griffin's having a hard time getting them together out there.
This is unbelievable, guys. What's going on in that Pascal corner?
Let's have a nice clean fight. Remember to obey my commands. Protect yourselves always, men. We're going to touch gloves now. We're boxing at the bell. God bless both of you. Touch gloves, fellas. Touch gloves, fellas.
The last big fight of 2010. Capacity crowd of over 16,000 roaring for Jean Pascal. Does not want to disappoint these frenzied fans. 28 days shy of his 46th birthday. Can Bernhard Hopkins turn back the clock and shock the boxing world again? Here we go. Round 1 scheduled for 12 for the WBC Light Heavyweight Championship. Hopkins, a counter-puncher by nature, has always looked to exploit opponents' mistakes, nullify their best weapon, take them out of the game, wear them down. Pascal brimming with confidence off the win over Chad Dawson. An aggressive style, awkward, quirky, unorthodox, kind of herky-jerky. Always looks to lead. He's not a counter-puncher, but really fast hands, and he likes to let them go. He's strong, durable, has a great heart.
This is a very, very big ring, almost 24 feet on the inside. We have to assume Pascal's folks who created this event like the idea of that, and we see Pascal using a lot of this ring.
Oh, big right hand there by Hopkins that caught Pascal off balance. Hopkins knows versus a counterpuncher like Pascal, he's got to keep punching, has to keep a high work rate, use that jab a lot. There's a body shot by Bernhard, and he also said go to the body often.
Yeah, that's always good, especially with a guy that looks to want to use his legs tonight in the big ring. You know, Hopkins 45, you might want to wear him down by using a lot of movement tonight.
Hopkins promised us he'd use his jab in this fight. It's an underrated weapon, and so far he is throwing it here in round 1.
Hopkins wants to back Pascal up. He knows what to do in his mind. The big question, can he physically do it all night long? got nailed by a counter left hook, did Hopkins, and as we mentioned, Pascal not a counterpuncher.
I think this fight will have more action than we thought it was going to have because Pascal has to rush in with those bull rushes. Hopkins is being more aggressive, and Hopkins is counterpunching.
Yeah, he didn't have a high work rate against Roy Jones back in April. So far, he's showing one here, early going. Left hook to the body by Hopkins, pushes Pascal back. Pascal in retreat. Now he comes forward with a nice right hand. That's his money punch.
Yeah, he's landed that punch twice. It seems like he's found a way to get over the guards of Bernhard Hopkins early.
Hopkins has never been stopped, never really dominated, down just once. First fight was Segundo Mercado in Ecuador in '94. Pascal never down.
By Pascal.
A knockdown for Pascal in the final seconds of the opening round. Hopkins in disbelief.
Hopkins in a strange posture. He's been attacking here in round one, not what he's used to. And there's a right hand that cuffed him and knocked him down. Now, you can make the case, I guess it was behind the head, but that, as Antonio pointed out in one of our previous fights with Glenn Johnson and Alan Green, that's the only place he could throw that punch, Pascal.
And he landed, and the reason that it was so effective because Hopkins did not see that punch, Al.
First time Hopkins is on the canvas in 16 years.
Wow.
Round two.
And a point worth noting, this is the first fight in 3 years in which Pascal has really felt healthy coming in. He had a shoulder injury, had surgery in 2009, had a torn bicep before that. Finally, he said, I have been healthy for a whole training camp, so we'll see how that helps him.
So Hopkins, who was looking pretty good there in the first round, is put down in the final seconds of the first round. A right hand to the head.
And Stephen, I was really looking to see if Pascal would be over anxious and excited because of the crowd tonight, but the young man seemed to be totally under control.
Very focused, which isn't easy at home where there are so many distractions.
And Pascal has won part of the battle because he is making Hopkins come to him. And of course, he's the champion. So if you're the challenger, you have to go get it. But I don't think Hopkins is comfortable in this mode.
No, and again, if Hopkins is going to have to rely on his reflexes, I think it's going to be a long night. You know what I mean? Because he is 45, and those counter punches are effective that Pascal is using today.
Yeah.
Pascal is looking to unleash that big right hand again. He knows this is how you make a name for yourself, by beating a marquee name like Hopkins.
You talk about Hopkins coming into this hotbed. This is amazingly only his third fight outside of the United States. That's almost hard to believe, but it's true.
And he has really come into a lion's den here. Pascal, who grew up idolizing Roy Jones, ironically, that's the same philosophy, though, I mentioned earlier, as Bernhard Hopkins. Beat the big names to make a name for yourself. There's a school of thought that one of the things that motivates Pascal is avenging his idol's loss to Hopkins, winning tonight for Roy Jones.
Yeah, but he told us, he said, I want to be the first Jean Pascal, not the second Roy Jones.
And again, he allowed Hopkins to open up, and he's catching Hopkins with the counter punch. I don't know how Hopkins is going to solve that tonight.
One way Hopkins could solve it is by getting that jab going, which he started with, but now he isn't.
It's something that worked well against Felix Trinidad when he won. Missed with the right hand there, did Bernhard. The crowd oohing and eyeing. A lot of movement by Pascal, who is feeling very confident. Right hand off the top of the head, another one by Hopkins. The first clinch. Something we saw a lot of in Hopkins' last fight. Oh, a leaping left by Pascal just before the bell, right on the neck. In attendance tonight, luminaries, former Canadian heavyweight champ, the very popular George Chuvalo, who took on Muhammad Ali twice in the 60s and 70s. There's the road warrior Glenn Johnson, who fought Bernhard Hopkins in '97 for the middleweight belt. Hopkins stopped Johnson in the 11th. Johnson was undefeated going in. And undefeated IBF super middleweight champ Lucien Boutet, living in Montreal, where he routinely draws sellout crowds. Boutet and Pascal, a potential matchup.
And of course, both those fighters coming up on Showtime. Brian McGee going to be the opponent of Boutet in March, and Glenn Johnson, he's going to take on Carl Froch in the Super 6. So we look forward to seeing them in action.
Boutet recently signed a multi-fight deal with Showtime. If Boutet ever fights Pascal, they say here that could be the biggest fight ever in Canadian history. Yes, even bigger than Leonard Duran. It's round 3. We have one knockdown. Final seconds of round 1. A right hand to the head of Hopkins. Hopkins goes down for the first time since '94.
Right now, Steve, it looks like Hopkins is using that jab as a pawing jab. He's just, trying to set him up, but he needs to go ahead and try.
A running left hand there by Jean Pascal.
We talked about work rate. Right now, they've thrown almost the exact number of punches. Pascal's thrown 59, Hopkins 57. So in terms of work rate, they're very, very similar right now. Almost a clash of heads there. And there's always a danger of that with Pascal because he has those bull-like rushes.
Again, he's leading with one punch and countering with the other, and Hopkins hasn't been able to solve it yet. He almost missed with a big left hook then.
Bernhard going downstairs to the body. There's that overhand right that Hopkins wants to throw and land often in this fight.
Pascal has a great chin. Very tough to get him down. We certainly saw that in the Carl Froch and Adrian Diaconou fights. Great fight.
Hopkins told us if you beat the crowd, you beat your opponent when he's fighting at home. But so far, he's not silenced the crowd. They have been emboldened by that early knockdown by Pascal.
Over 16,000 on hand here. And a counter right and a good left hook to the head by Hopkins.
It's a very close round. Hopkins getting a little more done than he did in those early rounds, in those first 2 rounds.
Pascal knows he's in there with a clever, wily old veteran. He's not hurt. 20 seconds to go in the round. Ten seconds. Hopkins is trying to buy time and get to the corner. The bell has sounded. Hopkins keeps punching. Michael Griffin didn't hear the bell. In fairness to the referee, it's a very quiet bell.
And a very loud crowd.
Bad combination for the ref.
He's been able
For the second time, Bernhard Hopkins visited the canvas in this fight. A left hand and another hook, and it sends him down. Hopkins was saying it wasn't a knockdown, but there were two left hooks there that did it.
No, it was a clear knockdown, and the reason why is because right here, Hopkins relaxes, and Pascal was still in position to throw the left hook.
And at the end of the round, things got out of hand. Michael Griffin could not hear the bell, excuse me, and Hopkins just kept punching.
Well, Hopkins probably didn't hear it either because I didn't hear the bell ring.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what he was hearing. Are you kidding me? I thought it was a ring or a rope.
Hopkins is up first, ready for round 4. So now he's been on the canvas twice. One in the first, one in the third.
And that was a round in the third round that Hopkins probably was winning, and it might only be a 10-9 round because of that, but he still went down and he lost the round.
So Bernhard Hopkins has some catching up to do, and those are fast hands.
Yeah, they are. You know, Hopkins did not want to get himself buried in a hole because he's not a big puncher. He's not a knockout puncher, and if this fight gets away from him, he may need a knockout late.
Over the years, Hopkins evolved into a more technical fighter, but in the early years, he was known for a very good right hand. But he hasn't had a knockout since September 2004 against Oscar De La Hoya.
That's 9 fights ago. Good hook downstairs by Hopkins. Neither man has done much body work. See the power punches in this fight, and that's been relatively even in terms of numbers thrown or landed, but clearly Pascal's have had more impact. Another good body shot by Hopkins, though.
Yeah, Hopkins is doing some good work right now. I don't know if Pascal's trying to take this round off. I think they butted heads then.
Hopkins really needs this round. Got to get some confidence going after being on the canvas 2 times. Even though he's disputed both knockdowns, they were legit.
Pascal is a very difficult fighter to fight. He doesn't fight in the same rhythm as most fighters that you fight. Antonio's been talking about that all week, and it's made it hard for Hopkins.
Yeah, you know, I've said myself, those type of straight-up conventional boxers, Hopkins can chew them up and spit them out. But when you got a herky-jerky fighter, you don't know what he's going to do. You can't time it. It's hard for Bernhard.
Hopkins coming on. Yep. He's landing.
And the left hook has been the signature punch in this rally. That's been a good rally for Hopkins. And I think one of the keys he unlocked here was that good body work against Pascal. That's been effective.
Hopkins' best round. Right hand off the top of Hopkins' head by Pascal. Combination upstairs by Hopkins. Gets in and out quickly. Goes to the body with the left hook. Right hand over the top of the head, and it's being called a slip. It was to the back of the head, and Hopkins went down off the slip.
And that was a great call by the referee. It was definitely an illegal punch.
Again, Pascal hitting to the back of the head at the bell.
Keep it up, buddy. Keep it up. Breathe deeply. Breathe deeply. Keep it up, kid. When he comes near you, counter punch. Be aggressive there. All right, use your left hook and then use your right very effectively.
Well, against Roy Jones Jr., he was hitting the back of the head, Hopkins, a lot. And tonight it's happening again. That one definitely in the back of the head.
The big difference, these punches much more powerful.
Yeah.
Chris Gauthier, our translator. Here we go into round 5. Hopkins comes off probably his best round of the fight. If you're just tuning in, Bernhard Hopkins down in the first and the third. The end of the first, a right hand to the top of the head, put him through the ropes. And a left hook in the third round put him down, but not hurt on both occasions. Hopkins missing with a left hook.
I think Hopkins got on the scoreboard for the first time in that last round. He said everybody over 40 that has some arthritis is going to be rooting for him. I've got a touch of arthritis, but I'm paid to be objective, so I can't be rooting for him, you know. George Foreman used to say that stuff all the time. A good hook by Hopkins to the body. That was a beautiful punch.
And that got the attention of Pascal. Bernhard Hopkins in the black with the silver trim on the right of your screen. He won the middleweight belt here on Showtime in 1995. Defended it a division record 20 times. Incomparable 22-year career.
And the press row you see all with Pascal. I have it the same as Herb Zurkowski does, 39-35, and also Albert Ladouceur from the Journal de Quebec. And now here comes Pascal.
And you just hear it by the crowd reaction.
Well, Al, you mentioned pace and work rate, and I think this rate right here really favors Hopkins.
Yes,
I mean,
agree.
outside of those knockdowns, I mean, he's definitely in this fight.
Yes.
Past the midway point of round 5, he makes Pascal miss, goes to the body, and then upstairs. Nice combination by Hopkins.
And you see the number of punches, it points out what Antonio is saying, even an edge in terms of number landed by Hopkins. Of course, those knockdowns kind of equalize that. But yes, it's being fought at a pace that makes sense for him. It's like some college basketball team that likes to use all of the clock. They like it when teams aren't running on them.
Under a minute remaining, round 5, scheduled for 12 for the WBC light heavyweight title. The fourth defense by Pascal, combination to the head, back comes Pascal. Pascal with a nice left hook to the jaw. Hopkins shakes it off, misses wildly with a left hook attempt. Pascal sneaky fast.
And Sean Pascal is a better defensive fighter than I think anyone imagines, and he certainly surprised Dawson with that, maybe is a little bit with Hopkins.
And when he's hit, he has a granite chin. He was hit by some bombs by Carl Froch and refused to go. That was a super middleweight. He's got Pascal in the corner, but Pascal wins that sequence.
Settle it down. Listen, we're not going to get into the big swinging mode with him. All right, we're not looking for one home run. He going big, we're going to put small shots underneath. We don't have to go big like that. That's why he failed. Missing and get tired. He weakening now already, son. I need you to stay behind that stick. And make them investments. I need you to make investments.
You got to be perfect on defense. Explosive legs. Explosive legs all the time, Jean. Best defense you need. You got
Mark Ramsey, the trainer for Pascal, has been with Jean since the age of 14. Round number 6.
I'll tell you what, guys, I gave Hopkins the last 2 rounds. I mean, Pascal can't let Hopkins lull him to sleep. He has to find another gear if he wants to impress this crowd and win this fight tonight.
Yeah, Hopkins is finding his way back into this fight. Now, those 2 knockdowns will certainly help in the scoring for Pascal, but Hopkins is definitely coming back. And, you know, Nazim Richardson showing us why he's a great trainer. He wants to remind Hopkins, use that jab, land punches, don't get into a free swinging contest with this fighter.
Well, in Hopkins' prime, it was all about the sweet science, the skills, the old school technique, the ring generalship, the timing, the well-placed punches with purpose, laying traps. Trying to do that here.
You know, Hopkins has lost in his losses to Jermaine Taylor. In those 2 fights, he did not have a big work rate. Oh, big right by Hopkins. And he didn't have a big work rate against Calzaghe either. In this fight, it's about equal. He's not getting outworked in terms of lots of punches being thrown by Pascal.
Lost by split decision to Calzaghe. One of his 5 losses. We approach midway, round 6.
Stop punching, fellas. Let him go.
Hopkins down in round 1 and round 3.
Pascal, you mentioned the war with Carl Froch. That was just a shootout, and Carl Froch ended up winning that fight. He said, I underestimated Carl Froch, as so many people do. He said, I won't make that mistake tonight.
Left hook to the shin by Bernhard Hopkins. Froch wants Pascal again at light heavyweight after the Super 6.
Yeah, he's got that pesky Super 6 to deal with first. But yeah, they had a great fight together.
Got to get by Glenn Johnson in the Super 6.
You know, Hopkins again having a good round here in round 6. He's landing really good punches, and Pascal's been very docile in terms of throwing punches.
Pascal missing with the straight right hand. There's a nice quick combination to the head by Hopkins. A left counter by Pascal stopped Hopkins in his tracks.
And Steve, I think that's the only solid punch that Pascal has landed this particular round. Coming in, I thought this fight would be based mostly on a mental strength of Pascal. This fight getting any tougher, he's going to start questioning himself.
Here's Hopkins lunging forward. Hopkins firing to the body.
Let go. You got to keep your hand off the rope, Bernhard.
Final seconds of the 6th round. Wednesday, December 22nd at 8:30 p.m. It's a look back at the great moments from 2010, brought to you by Showtime Sports.
We got to push him along. This is the round, baby. This is the round we start the work. Understand? Double that chin up, give me both hands underneath to the body. Double back on him. It's there for you. When you tip your hat, baby, you're covering down.
For the 3rd straight round, Bernhard Hopkins was able to do more and be more effective. He makes Pascal miss and then lands a couple of shots on the inside. And that was a round in which Hopkins was able to put his punches together. And there's the jab, which starts everything off for him. And when he's using it in this fight, he's much more effective and bullying Pascal against the ropes.
Yeah, Hopkins trying to make it ugly right now. Pascal with a welt under the right eye. And we'll see if that swells up and poses any problems down the road. Hopkins, despite being down twice in this fight, very clean. He's coming forward with that right hand, Hopkins. Shoots the jab and then fires a bullet. Left hook to the body.
That was the body shot that stopped De La Hoya a couple years ago.
Pascal backing up. Ever since the knockdowns, Hopkins has not looked bad.
No, he hasn't. He's really gaining in confidence. He's feeling like he's really in control of this fight and digging some monstrous body shots. I like what I see from Hopkins.
It all started in round 4 when he really started to go to the body a lot with that left hook.
And he keeps pushing Pascal back. Now he deals to the body again. The left hook is finding a home for Bernhard Hopkins. Straight right hand followed by a left hook to the body by Hopkins. Not a lot behind those punches, but active.
When was the last time at this point in the fight Bernhard Hopkins had thrown 20 more punches or so than his opponent? The answer to that is probably never.
Hopkins really doing a good job now setting up the right with the jab. Certainly doesn't look like a fighter who's nearly 18 years older than his opponent.
And not at all. And, you know, Pascal is not really making Bernhard Hopkins work. No. I mean, early on he was, but right now Hopkins is comfortable.
Hopkins continues to land, and he has become the busier of the two.
And for the moment, Hopkins has taken the crowd out of things a bit. Oh, another one of those left hooks. He is going to the body with conviction.
This is a terrific round for Hopkins. He watches as Pascal misses. Good right counter by Hopkins to the jaw.
Ding, ding, ding. School is in.
He is schooling the younger Pascal.
Right. No punches. Watch your head. I'm going. Let me go. Step back.
We approach 30 seconds left in the seventh. Another one digging to the body. Left hook over the top of the head by Hopkins. He's doing what he said he would do. He's pushing Pascal back, and he's going to the body. And a left hook upstairs, but partially blocked by Pascal.
Watch the back of his head. Box.
As we head for the bell in round 7, a favorable round for Hopkins. Pascal missing with the long left. Jim Gray is with an interested spectator. Jim?
Indeed I am, Steve. I'm here with Glenn Johnson. Of course, many years ago, he fought and lost to Bernhard Hopkins. He's in the Super 6. He'll fight Carl Froch next. How do you see this fight so far?
I've seen it being a close fight now. The 2 knockdown kind of take Bernhard out of the fight, but the last 2 rounds, Bernhard came on strong. So I expect Bernhard to take over the fight from here on out, because by watching Pascal in the past, I know that he's starting to slow down right around the 6th round, 7th round. So he's starting to slow down now, and I think Bernhard going to take over the fight from here on out.
That's an interesting comment based on the fact that he's 18 years older. Will that come into play, or do you still have that feeling?
Well, I still have that feeling, because Bernhard never shows sign of wear and tear late rounds. He's always able to finish his fight. You know, you don't have a lot of knockouts. He's a guy who go the distance, so he's used to that.
You're an older guy. Maybe you can pick something up when you fight Froch.
Oh, certainly. I'm always going to pick up things. That's why I love the boxing matches.
Glenn, good to see you. We look forward to that fight. Steve, back to you.
Thanks, Jim. Another member of the 40-something club.
Yeah, we got one sitting next to us, and they all fought each other. There's a lot of synergy going around.
Very incestuous.
Yes.
Round 8 scheduled for 12. WBC light heavyweight title on the line. Hopkins down at the end of the first, down to the third, but he has been coming on since.
I tell you what, guys, it looks as if Pascal now is just basically in awe with Hopkins. He's fading away, and he's disappearing right before our eyes.
Petro, like both Antonio and I, think he is digging himself out of this hole, Hopkins. Very small margin by 2 of the judges for Pascal, and we, in fact, have it close. I've got it 66-65 for Pascal.
I have it 67-66, 1 point down Hopkins.
The gap is tightening, the action's picking up, and Hopkins is clowning.
Got hit with a big left hook and did that, I think, as a mechanism of playing some games with Pascal.
Yeah, but it looks like Pascal has limited himself to the 1 counterpunch. He has to throw more right now. He's the champion.
And Pascal keeping his distance and going in retreat most of the time. Hopkins gaining in confidence. Got his swagger back.
Bernhard Hopkins knows how to win title fights. He's 21-3-1 with 1 no contest in title matches. It's an amazing record in terms of the number and the win percentage.
Pascal 4-1 with 1 knockout in world title fights.
It looks like Pascal is back to that right hand left hook, and it had success early on. Let's see what happens.
The right hand put Hopkins down in the first. The left hook put Hopkins down in the third.
It's been a better round for Pascal, as Antonio pointed out. This might have gotten him back in here and got his rhythm going again.
You know what, guys? I can pretty much speak from Pascal's point of view. I've been in there with Hopkins, and you know what? I went in that fight underestimating him because of his age. I just thought I was a fresher fighter. This is what I mean, mental strength. He has to know. He's questioning himself. How is this guy able to fight at this level at 45 years old?
Pascal jumping in before Michael Griffin was through, separating the two. You were coming off Rocky Balboa. You put on a lot of weight. He had come off the 2 losses, so it was a strange situation when you fought Jones, when you fought Hopkins.
You gotta stop. Let's go. I'll tell you something. You gotta stop. Box for the time.
Every Wednesday at 9 p.m. it's Showtime's Emmy-winning series Inside the NFL. James Brown, Chris Collinsworth, Phil Simms, Warren Sapp will recap all the week's action and update you on the hot playoff races.
And I'm a Bears fan, so I don't want to even talk about the NFL, not after last week.
Well, the Bucs got a good chance to win, and we went outside looking in for the playoffs.
Bernhard Hopkins having his moments, though it was a much closer round, but there's the overhand right. But again, he was countered by the hook by Pascal. And, of course, that's vintage Bernhard Hopkins, playing some games with the young man who he thinks now he has in his control.
A look of deep concern on the face of Pascal. Hopkins always the first one up and ready to resume. Round 9. Nice right hand to the head by Bernhard Hopkins. That one landed cleanly. Another quick combination upstairs by Hopkins. Hopkins showing hand speed.
I think this round is very pivotal right now. We want to see, can the champion reclaim the momentum? I mean, the last couple rounds, Hopkins has looked good, landed some shots, went deep to the body. I mean, he's letting Hopkins take the play from him, Steve.
He's definitely, he's the busier of the two here.
Key element will be whether round 4 or round 3, was scored a 10-8 or 10-9 round on behalf of Pascal. If it was a 10-8 round, then Hopkins had a bigger hole to try and get out of. Good shot by Hopkins there.
Hopkins continues to connect. The right hand's getting in. I mean, you look at this guy, he's in unbelievable condition. He's closer to 50 than he is 40. And he's fighting a guy nearly 18 years younger. And this looks like the first round for Bernhard.
Yeah, you got to take your head off to the guy who's been a great, dedicated, committed athlete for years. He's never heard